Hi, everyone.
Hi.
First, I want to thank Jennifer for organizing this. This is such a fabulous event. I also want to thank Simon, who I learned so much about, like, you know, the winds and what some of you guys are doing out there on the water. And then Paul, like, blows me away. Every time he opens his mouth, he tells me something about the wind and the sky and the density of air. It's like, anyway, fabulous. I'm so glad to be here. So I'm Jessica, and I am with a group of the Friends of Cherry Beach and Outer Harbor with all of the other representatives from the community. But I also have a Facebook group called Toronto Beaches Open Water Swim Group. And it was kind of funny. It started as a small meetup group about 8 years ago, and we had 300 members, and we were doing our own thing, and we were just doing our swims, and it was all about safety in numbers, swimming with a friend, swimming with a group, sharing conditions and knowledge of the water. Then COVID happened. And at COVID, we went from 300 members to 1,200 members. And it's not an open membership. Like, we have people apply to come in. It's a closed group. You have to answer the question, why do you want to join our group? So this is not something where people are just joining. These are truly people who want to swim, and most of them want to swim here because it's warm. It's protected waterway, so it stays, so it's usually 5, and it can be as much as, I'm not kidding you, 15 degrees warmer here, 15 Celsius, I'm not talking Fahrenheit, than at Woodbine Beach. That's why this is such a preferred site for swimmers. And it's protected also from a lot of wind and wave action, okay? And we don't care about the north wind. We love the north wind. We love it because it's flat as a pancake. We go, oh, this is a beautiful day. And we're watching all those, like, those stand-up paddle boarders on the ones that are like the pump-up ones. We're watching them fly across. We're going, oh. Anyway, so that's a little bit about my group. And I'd like to communicate with our group. Our group grew to 1,200, and then also I felt the responsibility to informing people on safety. So when that happened, I have this permanent post on my Facebook group that talks about safety. And I'll talk about some of the stuff that we have on it. And I'm always open to learning. I'm always learning from the people here. So if any of you want to speak to me after this and suggest things to me for postings that will help you in your pursuit, because I know concern for swimmers is an issue and a concern for people within our community. So what do we do as swimmers before we go out? We want to know not so much about the air temperature or the wind, a little bit about the waves, but we're mostly interested in water temperature. For those of you who don't know it, there is on the Swim Drink Fish website, you can call up Cherry Beach and it'll give you the water temperature, and it's pinged every 30 minutes. So right now, if you went to Swim Drink Fish website and you called up Cherry Beach and you looked at conditions at Cherry Beach, it would tell you what the water temperature is today. I think it's around 6.5 degrees Celsius, in case you want to know. So we care a lot about water temperature. Most of us wear wetsuits. We wear wetsuits mostly year round. We'll wear a 3.2, 3.2, and those are the ones that the open water swimmers race in. Those of us who like to swim more in the shoulder seasons, we'll go to a 4.3, 4 and a 3, and then people who like to swim when it's like sheets of ice on top, I'm not one of those. 5 and a 4. Nobody will swim in a dry suit. It's impossible to swim in a dry suit in my opinion. Before we go out on the water, we like to make sure that the water is warm enough to go out, and we have been recommending this for the last 3 years. I think you may have all noticed, perhaps in the last 3 years, it's been uptake. I'd like to think it has something to do with our group because it's the number one thing we tell people to go out with. Last year we've updated our requirements. So what we do is we just wear this around our waist. It's also actually a bit of a, it's not a personal flotation device because it wouldn't meet any safety standard. It's kind of nice, the headrest to lie on the back and look at the sky, but it's good to float in the water with. What we've added to our personal flotation device is I always ask people to put a Fox 40 whistle on it so you can call for help. So it's 3 long, 3 short, 3 long. And the other thing, the most recent thing is, we hope we never get to this, but we put the swimmer name on it and emergency contact number in cases, whatever. These are things that we're recommending to our community to stay safe out on the water. The other thing that we also recommend is that they stay closer to shore, because we want. I have a question.
I wanted to know where you could buy this.
Pretty much anywhere. Amazon. Amazon sells them, and it costs about $18, so you can't, like, it's not an expensive device. And it's certainly super light. It doesn't create any drag. I almost don't feel it. Like, my swim pace time is pretty much identical with or without this thing, because it's super light. You can get one that actually is a dry bag option, which is a little heavier, but you can essentially put your wallet or your keys or your key fob or whatever in it, roll it up nice and tight, and you can bring it with you.
What do you
So
call it?
I call it a tow float, or it's also called a swim buoy. All right, and it's really for high visibility. Its main purpose is visibility for
Yes,
us.
and as a windsurfer, I have to say you are seen much earlier
Yes.
when you
Yes.
when you have one of those.
Yeah. And also one of the things I was going to put out in this survey is to find out from your community. I'd be interested to know which is the best color, right? I'd love it to be bright red, because then it would be like lots of cherries out on the water. But really, which is the one that's easiest for you guys to see when you look around there? Because we want to enjoy swimming, and we want you to enjoy your sport, and that's really what we're all about. We really want to share the water. And I'm also a paddleboarder, and I'm a kayaker as well as a swimmer. So I certainly understand that there's a need to communicate between groups and do the best we can to look after each other, right? So when we swim, we typically swim along the shoreline, come back and forth. When there's high winds and when there are kayaks on the water, I've recommended that people only swim east. We largely start at the at the lifeguard station, and we swim in an easterly direction. Looking at the map here. So we usually swim along here. Some of us will swim along here to Rat Split Point, so we will come in front of your area here, and then we will swim back to the lifeguard station. Some will swim also to the red buoy. We don't control them. Like, it's not like I can tell people what to do and where to go. We can only make recommendations. But I do have the ear, it seems, of people who are on our Facebook group. And so if there are things that we need to communicate for safety reasons, I'm there for you. What do we look like in distress? We're really floaty when we're wearing our wetsuits. We're not going to sink. We are not going to sink. Because we're swimming close to shore, we're usually 20 meters from safety because it's shallow. Some of the safety issues you talked about earlier. But we do have the whistle if we need the whistle. And also, if you ever see somebody take off their swim cap and they're like waving like that, that's distress. A competitive open water swimmer or a triathlete, that's what they're told in a swim race, is to take off their swim cap and wave it to get attention. Or they may just wave their arms, or they'll use a whistle if they have a whistle on the stage. So if anybody has any questions, I'll take a few questions now, or you can come and talk to me later. Yeah, they add no drag, and it's long enough.
And a colorful caps.
And we also, that's another thing that we have in our website, on our Facebook group, that we recommend colorful caps. Be as bright as you possibly can. Like the black seal suits that we wear are not very good. If we could get bright red wetsuits, we would, but they're all black.
Has any swimmer had really bad muscle cramps that they were in distress, not super emergency, but it wasn't comfortable?
I have swum with somebody who said they felt really good swimming. When we start feeling, when we swim in cold water, like somewhere around like between 5 and 10 degrees, I go as low as 6, 7 degrees, I'll swim in. When we go that low, I always tell people, always swim with a buddy, particularly cold water or new water. If you've never swum there before, always let somebody know that you're going out on the water before you go out, and while you're out there, generally we like to swim with a buddy, and that's the whole idea of our swim group, is a meetup. But I was swimming with somebody who decided one day not to go wear his wetsuit. He wanted to swim naked. We call it swimming naked. We're not naked. We really are naked. But it's called swimming naked. I don't swim naked. So we were swimming along, and he said, "Oh, this is great. I feel." He said, like at the beginning, it's really cold and cold. I said, "Chris, how are you doing?" He said, "I'm cold. I'm not doing so well." And then after about 20 minutes, he said, "You know, I feel great." I said, "Yeah, but you're swimming like crap." I said, "Get to shore." Because what you end up happening when we're swimming is you start feeling good is when you really are not doing well, is when your core is dropping. So we went to shore quickly. So what we run into is we don't run into cramping so much as being a major issue, but we run into people who are going out in cold water and getting this euphoric sense of strength and endurance and feeling like Superman, and they're not. They're not doing well. And that's my biggest concern is cold water swimmers here.
It's good to recognize that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.